Good morning. So, for this one, I don't know if I should tell you this one. It's pretty deep. It's pretty dark. I'm going to tell you a story about a boy. Must have been, man, I would say must have been about 12. This young boy, this young guy, and I'm going to call him that because by the age of 12, this little guy had pretty much seen everything that a boy could even want to see, right? This boy had so much weighing on his shoulders that he had no idea what the hell he was even going to do with it all. And he had nobody that he can go to, that he could turn to even digress through it all. And he ended up finding himself in a very dark pit. With no way out. And so this little guy, he tried to find anything he could. Sticks, anything, to crawl out of this thing. Because in this dark hole, it was the deepest, darkest, most unlifeless spot that you could think of. Unthinkable darkness, just uncomfortable darkness. And on the wall of this hole, it was certain things that he was going to have to overcome over the course of his years. Past, present, and future endeavors. Because apparently at one point in time, which was kind of really weird, but I was what was called the generational curse breaker for my family. Which means I had to hold everybody together. And I was youngest. So no matter what, I had to hold the group together. I was the cords that held everybody tight and close together. So if I fumbled, the family fumbled. Right? That's kind of how it works. But at every turn that this little guy went, he just ran into more chaos, more turmoil, more frustration, more anger. Every time he tried to bypass something, he found something else. And this is kind of how things went for the longest time for this little guy. On top of it, he had a school, and he had friendships that he was trying to hold down. He had this and he had that, and he was trying to maintain the balance in his own little life with all the things that were going on around him. And he didn't know how he was going to make himself out of it. And he clawed, and he climbed, and he invested, and he poured everything of himself into getting out of this fucking hole that he found himself in, and no thing of his own. It's like a chute just went out from underneath him, and he just, hey, you're in this hole now. So this little guy, he fought his ass off, and he finally made it out. After years of fighting and toiling and troubling and chaos and mayhem and just everything that you can imagine a guy would go through, a little boy would go through, he did. And he made it out of, with no one to stand beside him, because the people that this little guy thought that he could go to, they weren't there to do it. It was just a little guy that had to just walk the path by himself. But the crazy part is, even though he was walking alone, he wasn't walking alone. Because he had someone that was always with him. And there was one night, this little guy, he fell on his knees and he started asking God all these questions, trying to understand from the perspective of somebody who shouldn't even know this shit at that age, right? Barely old enough to do much of anything besides picking your nose and flicking it across the room. That's about how old he was. Just the other day, I asked that little guy a question. And I asked him how he made it out. And you wouldn't believe the answer if I told it to you. He had to sacrifice his life for the good of the many. And I had to re-ask the question again because I wanted to make sure I was clear that of what he told me was true, and he said it again. I had to die. So that little boy, in a sense, he had to die so that others would survive. We're going to go to round two.